Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. I'm joined today by none other than the master of blasters, Cozy Snap. Cozy, how has your week in Marvel Snap been?
They do be calling me the master of blasters. Doing good, man. Doing good. The week is always fun, man. The week has always been fun. Blink is just a fun card, and it's always great when a fun card is a good card too, right? And so we've had the best mix of both. And then Nocturne is a good card. Well, you know what? We'll talk about it. I'm getting ahead of myself here. We got some subjects to talk about, but yes, fun cards to play with in general, and a good week of Snap.
Yeah, Blink has been an absolutely remarkably powerful card in Marvel Snap. Now, going right into it, honestly, we came in pretty high. I gave this card a 5-star. And we don't like doing that. Well, I do, and I like being wrong. But no, this time I think I might actually be right, Cozy. This card has shaken the meta pretty damn hard. You came in at 4.5. What are your actual thoughts on the rankings?
Yeah, like right there. Yeah, I think you can't go wrong. 4.55. She's a great card, and we kind of nailed it on that because of just the limitless and lossless potential. There's just so many places to play the card. A lot of great value there. Good God, man. Was she just felt like I can't remember a card off the top of my head that was like, wow, I just have endless like things to try them in. Probably like Grandmaster, right? We like I could do this or I could do that. But this time, this card is working out and being played great on curve. And I gotta say, man, a card I always loved back in the early days of Snap was Jubilee. And I love that Jubilee is just being played like crazy right now. We kind of lost Lockjaw a long time ago, and so it's super fun to bring her back into things too.
I honestly love Jubilee too. Like, I actually missed the animation, the sound effects, all of it. It's actually one of the nicest sound effects and animations in the game, if you really think about it. Perfectly character specific. It literally, when you watch the X-Men, that sound, it's the exact same sound pretty much, right? So Jubilee is a ton of fun to play with. But Blink, it goes beyond just Jubilee. It goes into Leech, as we just talked about. It goes into Jubilee, as you mentioned. Goes into Electro. And sometimes it just goes into like something random, like a blade, right?
Yeah.
You're playing Corvus, then you don't get a good play. You play Blade with Blink, and then you swap the blade out. Giganto lands on the board. It's pretty crazy what you can do with this card. And honestly, it has been immensely powerful, and the statistics back it up. You're looking at approximately a 53% win rate post-infinite in the most competitive scenes in Marvel Snap. And this is the kicker, though. And I've never seen a number this high in my entire Marvel Snap career. A 38% post-infinite meta share. That is absolutely bonkers. In perspective, Red Hulk was 33, which I think was one of the absolute highest we've ever seen. 38% as of right now, according to Untapped statistics.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, she truly she works in so much. And it's about what you said earlier. It's about that. It's not like, oh, your blade can go to a 2 cost. It's the fact that you're playing a little bit in the casino, but the odds are significantly better than something like, let's say, Jubilee, where it's anything. And, dude, to that note, we kind of nailed it, man. The deck tracker. I can't tell you how nice it is to look over and be like, okay. So I've got these options to work with. I'm going to do this now, or I'm going to play this now. Did you go more ramp side of things? Did you go more just kind of put her in decks that are already kind of working and you just get good value? Where did you play her the most?
I love that you asked that. I started with ramp. Didn't like it that much, honestly. Like, Electro ramp felt fine, but like, I think that in Marvel Snap, what we look for is unfair advantages that we can capitalize on, because those unfair advantages turn into Snap equity, and that's where I think you really gain your cubes in Marvel Snap. I tweeted it, like, this is not a joke. I got like 120 something cubes at like a 70 something % win rate running Blink Hella. Before it was cool, by the way. And I was like, this is crushing. It's insane. It's borderline unfair. I can take Corvus Glaive, which is already a 3/5, turn it into, on turn 4, a Blink and a Giganto, a Red Hulk or whatever. And the wild thing about it is, and this is the thing, and it goes back to even the decks with like what you designed with Leech, for instance, was like, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be a chonky boy, because it can't go underneath. If I'm getting rid of a 4-costed Leech, I'm not getting my Nebula. No, I'm getting my 5 cost or my 6 cost. I'm getting something of value that's coming out. And if it's a Red Hulk and it gets to tick up after that turn as well, buddy, like, it's just insane what this card is doing. I knew it was going to take some deck building. I didn't quite think we were going to figure out as fast as we did, because honestly, it's completely cracked.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say I love how well Corvus has matured. The amount of people that just hated the card, and it's done well. Secondly, if I wish we could roll the clip here. Last week on the Snapchat, we ended Blink, and it was just like so nonchalant, quickly said. Do you remember? I was like, what about Hella? And I was like, well, the Modoc's kind of weird. And like we were like kind of thinking a little bit there. And then we like briefly touched on it. You said a sentence or two. We moved on. Funny that we throw out everything in the kitchen sink that we think about these cards. Like, where could they work? And that was the secret sauce, man. That was the secret sauce.
It's the exact thing we talk about all the time. Evaluating cards in a vacuum is extremely hard because they don't exist in a vacuum. Once you start playing them, you really start to get a feel for like how these play, and that's why those first impressions videos that like you do, especially with all the lore and stuff, it's so good. I love it. Like that we do after the launch can be so valuable because we get our chance to actually get our hands on the card, right? But to say the least, though, the theory crafting we do beforehand, I think helps inform our deck building. Because we like to be innovative with our deck building. We come in prepared, and we ultimately find very fast, effective homes for these cards, which I think is important. That's a skill that gets built over time.
Dude, I want to say I love watching your videos the day after the new card comes out, because I know what you're thinking. You know what I'm thinking, because we literally, spew it out to you guys so that you guys can hopefully deck build going into Tuesday too. Like, that's obviously a lot of what we are trying to do, right, with the podcast here. And I'm always like, okay, we talked about these like 9 things. Like, great examples today. I'm like, or tomorrow I'm gonna be like, did he go with the negative build? What did he do with Sage, right? Like the things we just talked about in the podcast earlier. And so, yeah, it was cool to see the Hella design, man. Props for the Fast Infinite. Props to just crushing it there on the ladder. But what I love is obviously she makes good decks better, but she also just opens up deck design of good cards, great value plays, and I love that.
Yeah, this card's absolutely cracked. I think this is going to be one of the go-to cards. And once again, we talked about it before. If you're going to be spending money on Marvel Snap, the Season Pass tends to be the greatest value. And this is going to be a 5-cost card, or a Tier 5, Series 5. You know what I meant to say. Yeah. It's going to be a Series 5 card that I think is going to be a staple for a while. Because it's a Season Pass card, I'm going to go on a limb here and say that I don't think it gets nerfed as fast as... Yeah. I think it could be a nerf candidate, though. Like, I'm not saying it does not get nerfed, but as we saw in maybe Loki, it might have some plot armor, which, that's a whole other discussion. But Cozy, there's another card that came out that week that's also pretty damn good, and we were pretty high on as well, and that, my friend, is Nocturne. Nocturne is a card that has the mobility of Nightcrawler, the ability of Scarlet Witch, and the stat line of both at a 3/5. Cozy, I'll let you kind of throw it out here. We had like some pretty decent ratings here. I went in, I believe, at a 4, and you came in at a 4 as well. What do you feel? This
is a great card that you absolutely don't need. An amazing card. Less so than even like Red Guardian. A great card that you don't need. Good stats. And bottom line, I think it's obvious at this point. The ability to decommit from a location and move somewhere else and then start building up somewhere else and then utilize the synergies with that is just invaluable in Marvel Snap, right? But you don't need her. You definitely don't need her. You can cut her in every single deck that she's in. But it's really nice to have. If you're, a hardcore Kitty Pryde player with Angela, sure, very solid. But if you're like a Surfer player, you don't have to have her. Super fun, man. I loved her, and I'll tell you why here in a moment. What about you?
Yeah, so I definitely agree, absolutely. It feels like one of the better cards you can skip. It's like, again, it's similar to Red Guardian. Yeah. The best card that you can skip. Yeah. But I think Red Guardian's better than Nocturne, honestly, if I had to pick between the two. Yeah. But like, I do think that Nocturne is good. I think I lean towards more of a 3 overall in terms of my first impression.
Yeah, I'd go down by half a point at least. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think we're about in the same park here. But like, honestly, it's a good card. Have I been screwed by its effect? Absolutely. I've been screwed by this effect. The random effect is infuriating at times. Sometimes you just want to knock out like, a beneficial location. They have Luke Cage and there's a negative zone. Just get rid of it. I don't care what it is. It's got to be better than that, I guess, right? That works for the most part. But I've absolutely been screwed. I even had a really fun game the other day on stream where basically it was a TVA game, right? It was a TVA game, so the game's gonna end up turn 4. On turn 3, I played Nocturne, and they played Nocturne too. Both of us threatening to get rid of TVA. Turn 4 ends, neither of us end TVA, and I end up winning. It was wild. It's like awesome mind games. I love that exists in the game. I think it's pretty cool from that standpoint.
Yeah, dude. I could have played any deck, and the deck I played the most because I want to have fun, man. Like it's easy to play like the best of the best deck in a climbing deck, but I wanted to play the fake Limbo, man. I had so much fun putting down Magic and then just be like, am I gonna do it, right? And I would play down, I would even like super fake and do like a Wong or something, and they're like, okay, he's gonna start building up. It just felt so fun to change Limbo in that game, and it screwed me like a few times, but a lot of times it was pure fun, and it worked. It definitely did work at times because she's a good on-curve play too, like, 3-5, obviously not terrible. And you're like taking advantage of her effect. Obviously, I had Blink in there to try to like not play, her in Magic. It's such a terrible curve play. But it was fun. I try to have fun with her more than just like pure comp, but yeah, she's good.
How dare you? How dare you have fun playing a video game?
I know. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of myself.
The card's actually doing good though, man. Like honestly, it has a 53.5% win rate, a 21% meta share. And I mean, unsurprisingly, it's performing very well in like those Silky Smooth style decks, Angela Kitty movement, right? It's good. It's also working very well in Blink based decks. It's overall just a good card. If you pulled it, there ain't nothing wrong with it. Again, in that week, it had Kyra and Celine, which were a little hit and miss at times, but like Nocturne, ultimately, I think it's pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with where it's going to land here. So, Cozy, final thoughts on Nocturne here?
Yeah, final thoughts. She'll be in a spotlight probably midsummer. If she's with a good card, go for her there. But other than that, guys, we have some fun cards coming out. Obviously, we said our thoughts on Sage. You got some bangers, not only the end of this month, but next month. We've got a lot of good ones. So save the keys.
Absolutely. And that takes us to our next point of discussion here, which is going to be the state of series drops. For those that might not realize, we don't have any firm committed dates or times for when series drops are going to happen. However, Second Dinner through a Q&A did state that they're on the agenda. Series drops are coming eventually. And so why not talk about it? Now, one thing I want to say here is this conversation is going to be not only about just series drops in general, but listen, there's going to be fodder in this series drop. How are the docs? There's going to be fodder that no one cares about. We're going to talk about the general state of series drops and also some of the highlights we'd like to see get dropped. Cards that actually people are like, okay, that's a card I want to see get dropped. That's a card that should get dropped. We're not really focused around the fodder. So, Cozy, state of series drops. What do you think?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if it'll happen on this one necessarily, but like the next one, which could with this cycle could be like a year now.
2026.
Yeah, 2026. Is maybe like this, like, hey, you know what? We want to get more new players in the game. Instead of just series dropping these, we're gonna take a lot to pull 3 in general, just to open that up more, and then maybe even dip some down from that to really open up the scope of the new player game a bit more. I think is vital, especially if this new game mode is new player friendly. I think there's a lot of ways to make it not friendly and a lot of ways to make it new players friendly. And with that series drops just makes everything better. Everything's cheaper. The cards are cheaper. Makes things evaluating like even spotlight weeks easier. Like, oh, that's an S4, whatever it might be. Looking ahead on the spotlights, we can see there's some spotlight cards that I hope would get series dropped, but because they're in that, I know they won't. But they have changed spotlights in the past, so maybe they do end up changing those. But altogether, what are the cards, man? You kick us off. What do you got?
All right. So actually, you bring up a good point, by the way. In terms of the spotlight caches, I've noticed they've been kind of weaponizing the series a little bit. Like they're adding series 4 cards to caches with like good cards. I'm like, man, that should have been a series 5 card. Why you got to limit the value of the spotlight cache? We're already gambling here. Come on, give us a series 5, damn it. That's a whole other conversation, but we're on to you. We've seen it. Series 4 to 3. Let's start there. Moving from series 4 to 3. Here are some cards I think should consider being moved. I'm going to say Mobius should move down. And I know that might be a bit of a hot take, but it is a tech card that I think is valuable considering the way the meta is shaping up, the way energy reduction is being utilized, and I think that the introduction of Hope Summers limits the downside to reducing it to Series 3 because you're still able to get some additional ramp without having to worry about the Mobius and Mobius effect. It is 11% of the meta. I think Mobius should drop.
Yeah, and it stinks because I was actually thinking about that. Even with Red Guardian, the problem with that, though, is people got that card because, knowing it was an S5. Some people probably even spent tokens on it. Tech cards in general, I just like in Pool 3. I just think because of what they do, their purpose in the game, Super Giant is another kind of tech card as well. Those are cards I would love to see go down. I don't think they will. They came out too soon. But in the case of Mobius, I think it's got to go to Pool 3.
Yeah, because you need tools in the toolbox. Like, these players in Pool 3 need tools in the toolbox. How the hell are they going to deal with these, like, Sarah control decks in Infinity Conquest when they don't have the tools to do it?
Yeah.
And, like, I think that there's a difference between, like, oh, you got to invest in a Series 5 card, like Galactus or Thanos or Tribunal, or there's cards that are archetype defining, and, like, they're like splash cards. Not splash cards. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. They're not as essential in the way, like Mobius and Mobius, you're screwed if you don't have the required pieces to deal with a meta. So I think that it should be dropped. So I'm glad that we agree there.
And talk about, like, just not a sexy purchase. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be spinning your, like, we'll just get that as your Series 4 card. It's like, dude, that is just not a fun card to buy. You want to be spending your tokens on the cards that are either, you know, archetype boosting or just something you really want to play. You're not playing Mobius and be like, I'm having the time of my life right now, you know? So I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one that I think, now this is a bit spicier. It's only 1% of the meta, but for a reason. I think Ghost Spider drops down too. Ghost Spider going from Series 4 to Series 3. Give Move gamers an opportunity to do something. Move is actually pretty decent in like Pool 2, early Pool 3. So I think Ghost Spider can actually give them a tool to kind of keep Move moving, so to speak, in those earlier pools. I don't think anyone is harmed by making that change right there.
What about Phoenix Force?
Phoenix Force I can see staying at for a while because it's like it's an archetype defining card. It's also challenging as hell to play.
I was gonna say,
like, it's one of those, like, listen, I don't even play a lot of Phoenix Force, and the times I do, I'm like, okay, this is hard. And not because, like, the gameplay is hard, but what makes Phoenix Force so powerful is an extremely experienced Phoenix Force player will know the borderline bugs to abuse in the engine of the game, and the way, like, locations work and how they can move the Phoenix Force back and forth without even proccing a fist tower. I've seen it. I'm like, what the hell just happened there? And sure enough, you're like, that is exactly how Phoenix Force works, because it didn't resolve and all this stuff. I'm like, man, it is wild the way it kind of attacks and breaks the engine of the game. So I don't know. I can see it staying at Series 4. I think it might be an okay place to stay.
And now we have Dagger. We huge buffed. We had the Heimdall buff. Like, there are other tools. Like, it is not the same. Even like a Hulkbuster being down in cost. Like, it's not the move that we were playing, right? Like, the newer players have access to kind of like more of a meta move than we had for sure. You know?
Yeah, and there's a card that, like, honestly, when we joke about like being brought out behind the shed to get put down, right? This, like, Zabu literally got brought out behind the shed and got put down. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you consider dropping this or what?
They say, although, like, it's almost their trademark at this point. Like, we have plans for that card or whatever, and it's like, if that's that, okay. I think a lot of the reason it was changed was, bottom line, it was a designer block, right? Like, Zabu screwed design on a lot of cards because, like, we can't do that because of Zabu. We can't do that because of Zabu. And then they're like, well, we'll get back to him. But if they don't get back to him, yeah, dude, banish his ass to Pool 1. I mean, it's just like, he's not. I don't think people are gonna be screaming to get him. But yeah, I think that's definitely a good call.
And another one I wanted to mention as well, is Nimrod. I think Nimrod provides a very unique way to play Destroy. It's currently only a 1% meta share. And actually, it's like a 49% win rate or something terrible. But I think it's a pretty worry-free drop. I don't think it's going to destroy the meta, no pun intended. But I think Nimrod can go down as well.
Yeah, I think Hitmonkey as well. I think as we go, fair. Honestly, the benchmark by far should be a year from their season. And guess what? Nimrod was in February, I believe. No, that was MODOK. Nimrod was in March, and April was Hitmonkey. I don't know why I have this stored in my head, but I do. So, like, those two cards there, Ghost Spider was in June. July was Phoenix Force, so I get it. But by that point, I think a year from now, it should, a year of game time should definitely it should be on the clock.
But did you study before this? Like, what the hell?
I don't know why. The amount of, like, honestly, useless in a lot of ways, knowledge of Marvel Snap that I have. Like, I'm super happy about all the Marvel knowledge I got from it, but there's just, like, God, there's so much details I have in my head about the game. It's ridiculous.
Okay, before we move on to Series 5 to 4, I got two more I want to throw your way. I want your quick opinion on. What are the over-under odds on Null and
I knew you would bring that up, man. Oh, man, 0. I don't know. They should. But here's the problem. if they do that, they can't release 17 more null variants this year, you know? And it's
the
like
fodder in the spotlight caches. What are you gonna do?
what are you gonna do, man? They got at least 20 more on the clock, so like I don't know. I doubt it, man. I don't know, but also Darkhawk is also he's too good, you know? He's got to get 7 more nerfs before they bring him down too.
Yeah, by the time it ends up in pool 3, it's going to be a 5 -14 or something because of Erishim or whatever. It's going to be such a useless piece of crap. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. As we move on to Series 5 to 4, Cozy, there's a couple cards here that I think are real. I don't want to start spicy, but the first on my list, okay, let's go right back to the Darkhawk and the null conversation. There's a card, Cozy. Give me your hot take on Jeff the Baby Land Shark. 32% of the meta. What is your hot take on whether or not Jeff slides on down?
Dude, I have his ability pulled up right here. You can move him once per game. Nothing can stop him from being played anywhere, and he's bound to Series 5 forever. I mean, like, it's not complicated. It's in his kit.
Can't move down to Series 4.
He can't. He can move anywhere but Series 4. Like, that's his whole kit.
It's exactly true. Literally completely bound by the Series 5. That's actually hilarious. I never thought of it that way, Cozy. So it looks like Jeff is not all powerful. So there's almost no chance he gets brought down, right?
Dude, like I feel like it's like, you know what, guys? In good faith, we want to move Jeff down. It's been a year plus since he's been out, right? Like that could be their like, you know, big move. But even then, he's going to Series 4. If he goes to Series 4, though, like everybody get that. If you don't have Jeff by now, like I don't know. Funny enough, dude, in the Marvel Rivals data mine, there was a Jeff character coming. I'm like, dude, Jeff is transcending just because of Marvel Snap. Like, it single-handedly made him so much more common. And I was just thinking about that game and thinking about Jeff, and I'm like, I can't even imagine, bro. I can't imagine.
You know he has legs and stuff. He can run. He's not just a shark, right?
I know, but even that's hilarious to me. Like, just the thought of him running across the battle. Like, I just, man. Hey, dude, sign me up to see more Jeff, though. Sign me up.
Oh, buddy, I'm all about Jeff. I can't wait to main Jeff. There's another card here that needs to be dropped, and I think this is the time. I think it's the time. I think this is a huge win for the community as well. 13% of the meta, the Iron Lad. I think it's time. I think Iron Lad has to come down. I think you have enough cards that work in that sphere slightly. You got the Blink, you got the Jubilees. I think it could be time for Iron Lad to descend.
Hey. Dude, I think if there's big bad still, I think in their book, he's a big bad. I would give Jeff, Darkhawk, and Null as a group a better chance to go down than Iron Lad. I want it. I want it. I just don't see it. I
see Iron Lad going down before Jeff.
I hope, dude. I hope. He's such a needed card. But I don't know. That's one that it's not that, like, I'm not gunning for it. I hope. But I just, like, I see them holding on to that one. They don't have a lot of art. They probably just commissioned a bunch, and we're about to get a bunch of spotlights with them too. Because we've only had them in like 3 or something, maybe 2 at that.
I think it's only been 2, but even in a spotlight, I think that's a win. I'll give you an easy one, Cozy. Here's an easy one for you. And I know you love this card. Famously, Alex Coccia kind of low on this card on release. X23. Do you see it dropping in Series 4?
Again, it's funny because X23, Loki, Miss Marvel, that lineup. Right there, right? That is what we're getting closer to for the year mark per se. August, September, October was Elsa, and then November was Miss Marvel. But either way, do I think X23? I hope so, man. I do because I feel like I think it's on the next one. This sucks, but I think it is. I don't know. Do you?
No, I think they can drop X23. Like, honestly,
I think they can for sure. I hope they do.
Yeah, for sure they can. How do you not? I think that's a win. Like, you never not drop X23. I would be shocked if it's not coming down.
Like, I want these. I would be shocked too. I do. I just like the realist in me. I don't know why, man. Optimist and Cozy just going full pessimist here. I just like, you prove me wrong. Second inning.
Okay, I thought that was going to be an easy one. I'll give you an even easier one. Jean Grey. Do you think it goes down?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, Jean Grey goes down. It's almost funny because it doesn't even have anything to do with time, too, because we've seen that in the past. Like, I bet you Shaw goes down for sure, too, even though Shaw came out in December. But you're like, you know what, guys? We're going to put Shaw down in S4 for you guys, you know, you surfer gamers out there. Whereas, like, Miss Marvel Loki, there's no shot, right? Like, there's just no shot.
Yeah, I got a couple more, okay? Here's one. This is another really big one. 20% of the meta. It's Nebula. Nebula is a card that I think could come down. I think it's one of the most underrated cards in the game. What are your thoughts, Cozy?
When the hell did Nebula come out? May. She was a season pass card in May, I think.
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah, she was. She was May for sure. Yes. The reason I stumbled there because it was high Evo technically. Like everyone thinks high Evo, right? Because high Evo. This is how messed up my mind is. High Evo, Iron Lad, Living Tribunal came out that month. Nebula. That's 4. I thought that was a 5-card month. Is there one I missed? It was another banger card too.
I think it might. Was it like Stegron? I think it might have been.
No,
I think it might have been a fodder card.
Steggy was with the animal season. With like
oh,
monkey,
you're right. It would have been
with
with
the
Zabu
monkeys and stuff.
Why
Yeah,
am I
no,
thinking
it was
Steggy?
a great card. It was because I'm telling you, I remember Tribunal was looked at as like the worst card of the month, which is hilarious to look back.
But at the time, it was. It needed to get buffed.
Yeah, you're right. There was one other card I swear on it, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, strong season she came out in. Nebula is a no-brainer downgrade. No-brainer.
Okay, now I got a more difficult one for you. All right, now, there's only a couple left here. All right, Cozy, if you are second dinner and you're sitting at the table polishing off that bottle of wine, do you consider dropping Nico Monaru? 11% meta share, but a very difficult purchase for players. I've heard this before. It's a card that is like the best card you can have in a deck, in so many decks, but it's hard to convince someone to commit 6,000 tokens to it because of how it's so damn random.
Yeah.
I've heard this feedback before. This is one of the major winners going down to pool 3, I think, or 4, sorry.
Yeah, I think the pool 4, yeah, I think you can. And it's a 1-drop. Like, I know she's one of the most impactful cards, but she's weird. Like, at the end of the day, she could be awkward. So, yeah, I think so. I think, actually, yes.
All right, 2 more. Super Giant, yes or no?
I hope, because
Too
tech,
soon?
S4 tech, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, last one. And this card, another one that's sitting beside Zabu behind the shed. Werewolf by Night.
He's in the game?
Is he? Did he get banned?
I don't know. I saw, maybe. He might. I think he's somewhere. He's in that game that Darkhawk is running the meta. Werewolf.
That was the deck? It was a Darkhawk Werewolf by Night deck?
Yeah,
oh my god.
Well, Captain
failed
America
the
deck.
meta
Yeah, they
report,
were in the Angel. Yeah. But, Werewolf by Night. Yeah, maybe.
Imagine playing a Werewolf by Night Umbaku deck with Angel and it's top tier, and Glenn's like, we gotta nerf all these cards.
Right, dude. No, this is my call. They're gonna be like, right. They're gonna go. This is my call. All right, guys, we hear you loud and clear. Celine, Havoc. They're like, you know it.
Just gonna
Dude,
get
you
the
know
shittiest cards and just send them. That's what I'm scared about. They
do
did
it,
that
man.
last time. Last time it was
Straight
laughable
to
how bad
pool
the cards
3,
were.
Celine. Yeah. like,
Yeah.
like I swear, like let's inverse it. Cards that aren't, man. Hey, here's like. There's one card that it's in the text as well, is the Nihilist, dude. A Nihilist will never see pool 4, bro. Never.
Do you know
never.
what would be hilarious? And I'm for this. For the record, I'm for this. Increase Howard the Ducks from 4 to 5.
Increase it. Maybe 6. Make his
Make him
own
6.
Make his own series.
And Cozy, that takes us to our Snapchat mailbag. Last week's was a popular one amongst the fans there as we discussed the Master Blaster himself, which I listen, a lot of people in the comments were like, yo, that's from this thing, that's from that thing. Apparently, most people are saying it's from Mad Max, which I think is like the consensus. However, no one's talking about what the hell that deck is supposed to look like. So, okay, maybe Master Blaster is from Mad Max, but no one has an answer to what the hell that deck, which apparently is breaking the meta, actually has in it.
I love that Master Blaster came here, dropped that nugget, and then was like, I'm never watching a Snapchat again. Like, you know, he's never going to come back. He doesn't even know that we're talking about him. Like, he's gone.
I looked for his comment. It's not there. He didn't respond.
He's gone.
Also, Master Blaster is like kind of moving. It's making waves in the Marvel Snap community.
Okay.
I'm getting questions from other creators like, why are people commenting about Master Blaster on my video? I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Dude, we were playing Rivals, and everyone, like, I'm playing with Dexter. It's Dex. I'm playing with Dara. I tried to call him Dare Bear. He didn't let me. And then there's Master Blaster. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And like, and it's tough because when you're playing a game that fast paced, I'm like, Dexter on your left, Dare on your, who's Matt, Alex. Like, it was so great. I loved it. But yes, shout out to the hero of the night, Master Blaster out there. Who is our first question today?
Our first question comes from D Border, and it reads, I feel like your description of Red Guardian is exactly how I feel about Quake, the best card that you always feel you could cut. You can win the game in so many situations. It's not necessarily a question. I just like grabbing these every once in a while. But Quake and Red Garden actually occupy very similar spots. Cozy, have you been playing any Quake lately?
Yeah, actually, I did a little bit in this like really focused control deck, like where every option I had was a way to control the game, and I did enjoy there. I wanted to say, I quickly think that that's what I think is beautiful about Snap, is that it's not, and honestly, I'm not playing 40 card games anymore. I love 12 cards in the deck. It makes you think so hard, and that every card placement matters, right? And it's like, even when you have cards that are great, like Quake, just doesn't fit in most of those decks. So we're getting into Snap where it's like we have very few like just plug and play catch all great in every deck. We have a lot of synergy. We have like even Nocturne is just a good card, but you want to try to synergize her in some stuff, right? That's kind of the era that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that with the advantage of a card like Quake, for instance, is the opportunity to take your opponent by surprise, which again, in Marvel Snap, the reason why I really like this question, which was just a statement, but the idea was like, it's the cube equity. And a card like Quake has high cube equity because you can flip the expectations of the board state to your advantage in those essential 8 cube games. Flip Mojo World, put an Isle of Silence where they're putting their null. It sounds like, Alex, that's far-fetched. How often is that happening? More often than you think. Nexus, there's tons of examples. Death's Domain, flipping it with initiative so that they blow up their entire turn 6. It's pretty damn cool. Our next question comes from Lumberjack Nick, and it reads, if you're only allowing one 5-star card a month, then Alex should have a single going to age like fine wine card each season.
I gotta watch this Snapchat. All right, I like it. That we do. Remember, like, in the first, like, I don't know, 10 weeks of the Snapchat, I was like, you hit the nail on the head. And then finally people were like, yo, you guys say that all the time. There are about, like, 10 phrases that we say all the time. Listen, guys, we're on episode, like, 80. All right, 80 weeks in a row, and we're talking about and so I like the phrase. I honestly do want a just, like, fine wine card of the month for Alex. I like it.
Hey, man, I like it. It's one of my favorite statements. Just like I always say, you're right, Cozy. I think that's one of my primary transitions. When I listen to the Snapchat, I'm like, do I actually say that as often as I do?
I don't even hear it, too. I'm like going to the next one. Because a lot of people, like, it's just great. We do this all in one cut. So it's just like we're kind of beating, like, going off the beat on each other. And it's like, when I hear you're right, I guess I'm just like, all right, my turn for my, like, thought process here. And kind of like, we do that a little bit. But yeah, we got some coin token phrases here.
All right, our next question, which is actually a question this time, comes from Artyom, and it reads, if you had to battle the devil himself in a Marvel Snap duel for your soul, what deck are you picking and what rule set? Best out of 3 or 5, banned cards, proving grounds only? It's up to you. Cozy, I'm going to tell you off the top my choice. I want best of 1 with the devil. One shot, winner takes all. I'm going Galactus because I'm going to make him kneel.
Yo, what the hell is this question? First of all, 2-part. What the hell is this question? 2, it's a great answer. That was a fantastic answer. I'm gonna play. It's soon to be released, the Jesus card. Yeah, I gets the devil, man. Is it a myth? Can I throw water on him? Like, is Namor? You think Namor has got a shot on him?
The question I think we need to ask is, like, does the devil play card games?
Maybe.
Does he have the domain knowledge to actually know what's up? What deck's he playing? What is he likely to play, Cozy? What's the devil playing?
Hella. See what I did there?
That makes perfect sense.
See what I did there?
So he's going to win. He's going to blink Hella. You're so screwed. Just beg for a nerf, friends.
It's over. It's over. Okay, great. Love it. If I were to play, I thought I saw it all. I thought I heard it all. What a question.
Our next question comes from Chris Hurley, and it reads, I've been playing Phoenix Force and been loving it. It feels underrated, especially with Shuri Nimrod as a backup option. Curious what archetypes you find underrated at the moment. Cozy, this question here actually, we kind of mentioned it prior. I'm going to say Shuri itself, although it's in the question itself. It's probably super underrated. Classic Shuri, Red Skull Taskmaster, that can win games. It's barely non-existent in the meta. It's probably one of the best decks that just does not get played out there. So I'm going to go with Shuri for my answer.
All of the decks I was playing that was like under the radar got buffed. Like I played all the Patriot decks. Ultron gets buffed. You get more Patriot out there. I was playing a bunch of Darkhawk stuff too. That got buffed up there. I would say classic Sarah is probably my answer. I just don't see a lot of that these days. I still play a good amount of it. That's probably my choice.
Yeah, Sarah Control. Like I totally see that because like there was a time where Sarah Control like was the deck of Marvel Snap, and it was for like it felt like the consistent deck for months and months and months. And now there's just so many new cards. I think the synergies have become tighter. The combos have become tighter. You're able to. It feels like your decks are cheating more. Like they're cheating power in ways that Sarah Control never used to, right? So I definitely feel that, but it probably is still underrated though. I mean, it comes back every week, every month for 1 week during Infinite Conquest, right?
Yeah, I feel like Goliath too, like damaged so many people that played Sarah Control, and they just stopped playing it. Like you're just fearful of the Goliath play that could just wipe out all the dumpster of cards you're playing down. But yeah, I'm telling you, the Shadow Sarah too is very hard to play because you got like Luke Cage, you got to make sure you don't kill your own cards that you built up with it. But you just get so much value. There's just too many good 2-drops these days.
Absolutely. And Cozy, that takes us to the end of our podcast here. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate you. Our audio listeners, we appreciate you as well. Feel free to leave a review on your platform of choice. It generally means the world to both Cozy and I. It supports our content tremendously. And we'll see you on that next Snapchat episode.